Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller, and we are here with three gentlemen from the Miami-Dade Solid Waste Department. To my right is Joe Bolufe, Harrison Crenshaw, and James Richard. And we're going to talk about illegal dumping in Miami-Dade County. So let's first sort of define what illegal dumping is compared to legal dumping. So let's start with you, Joe.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Illegal dumping, first of all, litter is when someone, discards pieces of paper or just simple trash from like McDonald's or whatever out your window of your car, maybe at a bus bench, something like that on the ground. Illegal dumping is more serious. It's when they dispose of maybe construction debris, tires, stuff like that, out on the right-of-ways or even onto private properties or dead-end roads, stuff like that.
So and Harrison, when people dump that stuff on the side of the road, it's pretty expensive for the county to go pick up that stuff. So tell us about that process. If somebody sees a big pile out there and they would call in, where would they call to say, hey, I got all this trash that's sitting down the street from us? And then what's the process for getting it picked up?
Well, Miami-Dade has a process wherein homeowners can actually put things on the curbside and contact 311 to schedule a bulky waste pickup. That's what it's called. In regards to illegal dumping, those are usually committed by acts of people that are trying to avoid a disposal fee. Handymen, commercial men, guys involved in the trade of construction, things of that nature, they have to pay a fee to the county to dispose of the debris. As opposed to disposing of it correctly, a lot of them tend to take shortcuts. Part of those shortcuts, going down in vacant lots, empty roads, places where no one frequents, dump it on the side of the road, and continue on their business. Thus, the county is tasked with the responsibility of removing that at a significant cost to taxpayers. Because
it's some code enforcement, or it goes out, see the pile, then you got to call the trucks down, and then you got to still take it to the same dump.
That's
but
right.
We know that for the illegal dumpers, there's a surprise out there many times for them. What is it that the county does to try to manage the illegal dumping?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we rely on a number of different ways of being notified about illegal dumping. Residents and residents within Miami-Dade County could call 311. They could report illegal dumping using the Miami-Dade Solid Waste app that we have for Android and Apple devices. They could also go online and report illegal dumping that way. But our code enforcement division have what they call game cameras. So they're surveillance cameras hidden in certain locations that are considered illegal dumping hotspots, where piles just seem to always come up on a regular basis. And they use these cameras to catch these violators in the act, and that way they're able to track down these violators and hold them to account for their illegal dumping.
Now, Harris, we know down in the homestead unincorporated areas that there's frequent dumping on the side of the road, illegal dumping. When that gets dumped, sometimes it seems as though it's actually on the private property. Obviously, it wasn't put there by the owner of the property. What position does the county take when you can look at that pile and you go, this homeowner didn't dump that stuff there? What are the choices for the homeowner?
Well, that's a twofold question. And let me say it by stating, a lot of times the area officer that works the area, he's familiar with the property, he's familiar with the owners, he's worked that area for a significant amount of time. So we encourage the homeowner, when he finds illegal dumping on his property, to contact 311 and advise them of that prior to the officer coming. If the officer arrives at their property before the person has contacted 311, it's unfortunate, but the county says that you are responsible for your property and the right-of-way of that property, meaning that homeowner will probably be issued a warning notice of violation and asked to correct the debris.
So even if they didn't do it, and as you look at it, you go, I'm pretty sure this guy didn't do it because there's no house there, and it's like construction material.
Well, to say that would be an assumption.
Yeah.
And in the county, there are clear lines of distinction. If a property owner is responsible for his property, he's going to be diligent in surveying their property, maintaining it, and ensuring that it's always clean and well protected. A part of that is notifying the county. If there's a problem on your property, or you believe someone illegally dumped on your property, it's your responsibility to contact 311.
Like right away.
Contact 311 right away. And I would even encourage that if the person is going to contact 311, to also ask to meet with the area officer, the person that works in that area, to develop a rapport with that officer. And maybe in addition to abiding by county regulations, which will all require, but you develop a relationship with the officer where the officer knows what's going on in that area and he can assist you in the protection of your property.
Joe, there seems to be a lot of illegal dumping around. Gotta get around the county, and it's like, why does there appear to be more? Is that in fact accurate, or is there more?
Yeah, there appears to be more simply because the contractors and the actual violators that are committing the crime simply don't want to pay the disposal fee. So to avoid that, they just simply illegally dump and put the cost on the citizens of Dade County.
So if somebody has a pickup truck or a van and it's filled with, let's say, demolition from a house, and they dump it and they properly dispose of it, how much might somebody pay for that? More or less. What's the range?
The rate right now, I'm not 100% sure the rate off the top of my head from the landfill, but it could range. Maybe James,
Yeah,
about-
no, I mean, it varies from year to year, what the disposal fee is, but essentially it's based on weight. So the heavier the material, the more that you pay at one of our disposal sites. So for example, if you have, let's say, a ton of construction and demolition debris, you go to one of our landfills, your vehicle is weighed at a scale house, you go up to the top of the landfill, you offload your material, you come back and they weigh your vehicle again. That difference is what you pay. And so when you're talking about, contractors, handymen,
Like tile.
cabinets, concrete, brick, those type of things that have a lot of weight, that's where the cost comes in when it comes to, these contractors that they are trying to avoid. And so they opt to sometimes do the incorrect thing and illegally dump.
So if that same contractor, instead of taking it and disposing it properly, dumps it, and they get caught, which they're going to get caught at some point or another, because the more they get away with it, the more often they're going to get caught. It can be pretty costly for them. Tell us about the fines.
Well, we have fines that range anywhere from $250 to $2,500. In addition to that, we have Florida Litter Law, which we enforce, and that's depending on what you dump, the type of material, whether you were paid for it, it can range anywhere from a misdemeanor to a third-degree felony.
So these gentlemen that got caught up at the north end of the county, which we're talking about earlier, they were in a U-Haul van, and they dumped some stuff. They got caught pretty fast because there was a camera there.
Yes.
So what happened to them up to this point?
They're going through the court system now. They'll probably be maybe get some community service, and we like to ask for community service because it affords us the opportunity of putting those persons back into the neighborhoods, cleaning up every trash pile that we can find.
How wonderful.
And to date, we have had no repeat offenders.
Did they get physically arrested?
Yes, they do.
So they were out dumping. They were pretty happy when they left. I saw one of the videos. And within a very short period of time, they were arrested. They were physically arrested. And they went to
Yes,
jail.
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Good show. They must have been surprised when they go, I'm going to jail for dumping? Yes, sir. So let's talk about a little bit about the way if somebody's got a lot of stuff at their house they want to dispose of. I know we refer to it as bulky waste. This is the end of the year coming up.
Yep.
So James, why don't you tell us what they're entitled to as taxpayers?
Absolutely. So if you live in a property that is serviced by Miami-Dade County's Department of Solid Waste Management, every calendar year, our customers are entitled to 2 bulky waste pickups of up to 25 cubic yards each. And that's the way that we, provide a convenient way for our customers to have those bulk items removed from right in front of their properties. A few years ago, we began the bulky waste pickup appointment system where people could actually select the date that the pickup will take place. We ask people to schedule before you place your items out at the curb. That's very important.
To your point.
Yes, you want to make sure you schedule because it's in the system. Our enforcement officers are patrolling their areas, and if they see a pile, they'll go into the system to see if there's anything scheduled for that property. And if it's not, that's when there's an issue. So you always want to schedule an appointment before you set something out at the curb, and then you put your items out at the curb up to 3 days prior to your selected appointment date. and then our trucks will come on the day you select it and remove that material. And as you mentioned, we're coming up on the end of the year. If you don't use those 2 bulky waste pickups, they don't roll over into the next year. So you want to make sure that you go and amass your bulk items now, schedule that appointment, because we only have a certain number of appointments per day. You want to schedule that appointment now, get your items, and place them out 3 days before your pickup date to ensure that you get those pickups used.
So James, somebody could have a pickup in November, December, and then also in January and February.
Yes. So and the way it works again is you get 2 per year. So if you didn't use any pickups up to this point in the year, and you're one of our full service customers, you have those 2 pickups of up to 25 cubic yards to use before January 1st, 2024.
And it's not rollover.
They
you
do
don't
not
use it January 1st, it starts over again.
Yeah, you don't use them, you lose them.
So people, Joe, can go to miamidade.gov,
Yes.
right? And they can find solid waste, and you put it on a bulky waste pickup. I've used it before. It was a miracle that I could figure out. It was really simple, but it's like it was new, and that was all part of it. People can get used to that. It shows a house, where the trash is going to be, and I think they also ask what type it is,
Right.
When, and there's approximate date if I remember right.
Right, yeah, so there are a range of dates. It's similar to scheduling a car service appointment or a medical appointment where you see what dates are available and you could select which date works for you out of those available dates. And again, it's a more convenient way of us having these bulk items collected rather than having them sit at the curb, inviting illegal dumping from other people who might see a pile on the curb and say, "Oh, I'm just going to add to that pile and get rid of my trash that way." This way, there's only up to 3 days up to that appointment date for you to put out those materials, so that we don't have piles sitting at the curb for a very long
So
period
Joe,
of time.
when I used it, I had a lot of stuff to go out there. And then I immediately started seeing the pile is growing all by itself. So I took a picture of my pile. Then I called 311. I said, listen, people are dumping their stuff. I don't want to be charged for the difference. On this day that was there. And when they came out for the regular pickup, I showed it to them and they go, okay. So they didn't charge us for that. That was above what I had showed them. Because I live in horse country and people see a pile, they love putting stuff in it. You leave it there long enough and more it's gonna grow. Can we talk a little bit about recycling?
Sure, absolutely.
So we're recycling now. After doing 100 of these shows, finally convinced my wife. It was wonderful. And I kept saying, I can't keep talking about this without doing it. And it was simple. I want to recycle, put in your address. Okay, here's your pickup date, right? Which happens to be for us in a week and a half. It happened to be on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
Because you had pickup on those.
Yes. Thanksgiving is a regular service day for us. So recycling and garbage collection will occur as scheduled.
So let's talk about things that can go into the bulky waste, or things that shouldn't go in. What are some things that should not go into that the county picks up in the front yard?
Well, construction and demolition material, auto parts, food, household garbage, things like that. It should not be included in the recycling stream.
If people have household chemicals and lawnmowers and stuff like that, what should they do?
Well, county offers disposal sites, proper disposal sites. We have one on 58th Street that's pretty local and centralized to everyone where you can dispose of your unwanted, unused chemicals. As far as the disposal of lawnmower, the equipment, things like that, we have, I believe it's 13 trash and recycling centers throughout the county where you can actually take those things to be properly disposed of.
And it's important to say, when you're bringing something like a lawnmower or even like an appliance or something like that, because some of our trash and recycling centers accept appliances, you want to make sure that the fluids are removed from those items because again, we don't want any sort of leaks or anything at any of our facilities. So if you are bringing a lawnmower, maybe an edger or a hedge trimmer or something like that, you want to make sure that you remove all the fuel, all the oil before you bring it to one of our disposal sites.
So, Joe, one of the things that we did on our lawn equipment, when I decided I'm not doing any more yard work, I said to our yard guy, "You want these 2 pieces?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Guess what? You got to take the rest of it too." Because I'm going, what am I going to do with this? And so we disposed of it very nicely. He took all the stuff and it was delightful. Or sometimes I'll leave it inside the driveway. If you want this lawnmower, it's free, right? And before too long, that it's gone.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the county's now offering different sites at different times, maybe for like home chemical. I think if I remember right, I saw one out in West Kendall where it was a special event.
Yes.
And I was told at one time there were 100 people that brought chemicals out there. That's terrific. So what's the reception as far as in other areas out, other than the one that's out here?
Well, the reception has been really, really enthusiastic. We've gotten actually inquiries from people on social media asking, when is it coming to Lake Worth? I mean, people from even outside of the county asking about these mobile events. We like Harrison had mentioned, we have 2 home chemical collection centers, one on 58th Street, one down south by our South Dade landfill, and we understand that sometimes it's a bit of a hike for someone to dispose of those items. So our Environmental and Technical Services Division, who oversees home chemical disposal and collection, they were able to work with our trash and recycling centers to have these limited time mobile events. We just had one this past Saturday. On the 11th at the North Dade Trash and Recycling Center location. And we have 2 more remaining coming up. We have one in December and one in January on this current schedule. I believe the next one's at the West Perrine Trash and Recycling Center. The one in January is at the Golden Glades Trash and Recycling Center. But it's been really enthusiastic. Those sites, those mobile events accept the same exact materials that someone could bring to one of our permanent locations. So people have found it really, a really useful service to provide. And, from what I understand, people are there waiting for, them to begin collecting. There's a line there waiting for people.
That's good. Because we feel good inside when we do that.
Absolutely.
So, Joe, back to where people illegally dump. What are some of the hot spots for the county where people are illegally dumping?
Well, we have a lot of hot spots in the urbanized areas on isolated roads. We have a lot of hot spots.
Like 118th Avenue between Bird and Miller?
Yes, that's one of our famous hot spots. Unfortunately, some of these hot spots aren't conducive to putting up illegal dumping surveillance cameras because we just don't have a power source. So we have to go through a more mobile application using a gaming camera. But we do have hotspots throughout the entire county. I believe our current list of hotspots is well over 100 right now at this point.
So there is a central point in which all these cameras go to some department, and they can see all the cameras,
Correct.
All the action. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if appropriate, you could get your police to go over there as they're doing that.
Yes, what I'd like to say, to add to that, the department is really vested in combating and curbing illegal dumping completely. We have a total of 18 surveillance cameras, live feed surveillance cameras that we are able to monitor from our computers, from our actual computers, wherever we are in the world. We can sit there and monitor those cameras, and we do that in conjunction with surveillances. A lot of times I'll have a squad that works a particular area and they're monitoring the cameras in a completely different area. And that allows us to be more fluid. It allows us to cover more area. And in the event that we witness something on these cameras, i.e. a felony dumping, we can reach directly out.
So on your mobile phone, you can access that. Do I have that right?
That's correct. We do it primarily on our computers, but yes, we do have an application for the telephone.
So bad guys are going to get caught at some point or another.
That's correct.
Yes.
So at this time of the year, we got a lot of people for Christmas and Thanksgiving. They're going to be dumping a lot of stuff pretty soon. What do we want people to do with their Christmas trees? Because in 2 months from now, people are wondering. So, James?
Yeah, don't dump it on the side of the road. Every year we offer a Christmas tree recycling program. Certain trash and recycling center locations accept the natural trees. They should be free of tinsel, ornaments, lights, all those type of decorations. And you can drop them off at one of those locations, and those trees will actually end up being mulched, and that mulch will be made available sometime in the spring. It really depends on how long it takes for those trees to dry out before they're mulched. And that mulch will be made available to our customers to take on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. It's very popular. The other option, of course, is to schedule a bulky waste pickup appointment. A Christmas tree could be part of your pickup if you still have one at the beginning of the year after the holidays. So you could definitely schedule that appointment, place it out at the curb, and we'll come and pick it up as well.
So, Joe, if somebody's already used their 2 bulky waste pickups at 25 yards, but if you have more out there, the county can, for a fee, take your extra stuff.
That is correct.
So what's that process? They go out, they go, this is more than your 25 yards, it's 40. If you want us to pick it up, here's the fee for it. How does that work?
Yeah, customers that have what we call an overage, there's different options that they can use to dispose of it. They can either take it themselves to a trash and recycling center, or they can request an estimate from our trash division to see how much it'll cost them for the removal of the excess yardage.
And they would be sent a bill.
Yes, correct, after the pickup.
And why not? All right, to do that. Has there been a recent, other than the U-Haul incident up north, a recent experience with illegal dumping that you caught the bad guys?
Yeah, my squad were working detail in the Melrose area, Northwest 33rd Street and 30th Avenue, and we were monitoring the surveillance camera. One particular surveillance camera we have in a high volume area, Northwest 105th Street. We actually witnessed a person pull up with a derelict boat, unhitch it, and drive away. Now, through the surveillance cameras, we were actually able to zero in on his tag, get his tag number, description of the vehicle, the whole 9 yards. Later, we did a follow-up investigation, and that person was arrested for illegal dumping.
They arrested.
Felony
Talk about
arrest. That's
handcuffed, not just here's a ticket.
well, to make the story a little bit more interesting, he dumped from a particular type vehicle. When we interviewed him, he claimed that vehicle was stolen. We didn't tell him that he was on camera. He showed up in the vehicle with a different tag, the same vehicle, and the same clothes that he had on when he dumped the vehicle.
Well, I'm glad you caught him. And one of the things I've learned is if you're a homeowner and you see somebody illegally dumping, don't intervene. I did once. I chased the guy down, right? Right? And we were both at a stoplight. I followed for 2 miles, and I said, I got you, all right? And so I called the police. I took a picture of the trash. They went to the guy's house, and they said some crazy guy was following him. I said, that was me. Never do it again.
No.
Ever. It's
We don't
bad
encourage
stuff
that,
because you don't know what's going to happen.
No, exactly. If you could find some, some identifying information, whether it's a tag, a vehicle type, a description of the person who's doing the illegal dumping, that's what our investigative units are looking for, and they'll be able to take it from there. If you are witnessing illegal dumping in the act, you could always call the police. Otherwise, you want to, again, take whatever information you can. The more information that's provided to our code enforcement staff, the easier it is for them to track down who's
And I'm going to thank you for keeping Miami-Dade County clean. We know it's a management issue, and I don't know if it's all going to be eliminated, but keep doing it because we enjoy clean roads. In particular, in my area where it tends to happen more, it's pretty clean most of the time. It's my hats off to you. And when it happens, to see it getting cleaned up fast, that's something that we enjoy, and that we're glad that you guys are taking care of us. Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Harrison and James, thank you very much for being here. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'm sure we'll see you before Christmas and the New Year. Folks, again, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your time. Have a great day. Bye.